some of the things you had to do as part of your discovery of your own authentic self?
What a good question, Yvette. Thank you. Yeah. What are some of the things I had to do in order to reveal that the true joy, as I call it today, or that authenticity, as you just mentioned? I think one of the things was getting really real with myself as to where I was being and living in alignment with myself and where I was just living so as to please other people. I grew up an immigrant child of immigrant parents with really firm expectations of who I needed to be in order to be successful in this world. We all want to be good children, right? And I was no different. So I grew up with a list of things that I needed to accomplish in order to be seen as worthy, as lovable, as capable. And there came a time, and it was actually once I completed that list, that I said, okay, F this. Completing some of those things allowed my inner world, my nervous system to say, okay, now we're going to drop those expectations of us and we're going to do what we really want to do. We're going to be who we really want to be, because we know that that inauthentic joy, that thing that we're experiencing that we're saying isn't really happiness, is a function of the fact that I'm not living true to myself. So one of the things I had to do in response to your question is get real with myself as to how I was living in complete misalignment with my own values, my own needs, and my own desires, and where I was living according to the values, needs, and desires of either society or my parents or other family members. We are born into a world that has norms and expectations of us. And you mentioned my latest book, The Soul Journal. One of the things that it does is it asks those questions, the ones that I'm telling you that I had to ask myself, to really help you understand where you might be falling into that trap of living according to society's norms and values and standards and expectations, which there's nothing wrong with, unless you're sacrificing your own happiness and your own values and your own standards and desires. So there are questions like that in the book, and those are some of the questions I asked myself. I also had to get uncomfortable. I had to learn how to really get uncomfortable. When I look back on my journey, sometimes I think, why couldn't I get to the stuff that works faster? Like, why did it take so long to get to what really works? And by what really works, I mean what really helps me to heal and become the woman that I know I'm supposed to be, that I'm here to be, to become the best version of myself. And it's because I think I took a road that many people take, which is sort of pursuing the practices and teachings and reading the books that say nice things, that say things that feel good. And there's nothing wrong with the law of attraction, for example, but if that's the only thing that you're pursuing, it's very limited. It doesn't take into account our whole humanity and our whole being. We can have a whole other episode about that. But I think, yeah, part of my problem and one of the mistakes I made that I know other people make is getting sucked into feeling good all of the time. And by getting sucked into wanting to feel good all the time, I wasn't willing to feel uncomfortable, which is the very thing I needed to do to heal some of those old hurts and old wounds that were really holding me back, that were really leading me to feel like I wasn't good enough to be in this professional role or to be in a certain relationship. And that really led me to play small. So I would say those are two of the things I really had to do. I had to be willing to get uncomfortable. And I had to ask myself those hard questions about where I was totally abandoning myself and abandoning my own values and my own needs and desires for the sake of pleasing others.
Wow. I learned so much from your answer then. I loved how you said, I had to get real with myself, and how you had to really focus on your own values and then align with them, which your values might be different to society's values or advertising values.